All right, hey guys, we're back for episode 4, and today we've got with us Tim Matzke, who is the team manager for Maniti Racing. I think a lot of people probably know that name. Uh, Maybe as often mispronounced as Hoisingveld. I've heard a lot of very interesting ones out there.
Yeah,
I think my favorite are Maniti, Mantiti, and forgive
Mentinis
me,
quite often.
yeah, Mantini, yeah. So those are probably my favorite ones. But yeah, Manini Racing, with us for a couple years on IVRA now. You guys showed up first in the summer series when we ran that
Yes.
a couple of summers ago, and that was really fun. And you've stuck around since. And so today we'll get into who is Tim Matska and who are Manini Racing, and we'll kind of just ramble on through that. And to start, we were having a short conversation before we got in today, just about what Tim's doing right now, just kind of in life in general. He's still a young lad, only 20, so a long road ahead of him. But he's in school and right now studying law, but maybe transferring over to some police and detective type studying and work for next year. So maybe we can start off with that, Tim.
Yeah, of course. So, as you already said, we had a little chat, and at first, when I was still in school, 11th grade, I wanted to study, or like even I think from 8th grade onwards, I always wanted to be studying like automotive engineering. But at some point, I just noticed that there's no jobs around where I live. I'm quite far east in Germany, and you don't really have the automotive industry there. So then I went on to study to become a teacher for a year, and combined with the Corona semester and me not really enjoying the studying course too much, I stopped with that and did a year of just working where I could get some experience. And then last year I decided to apply to police, where I went through the tests this summer and still got a year to spend until that starts though. So I decided to go into studying law because that mentally prepares me a bit for what's waiting at the police, I think.
Yeah, nice. And do you think, like, do you know much yet about kind of what you'll get into with the start there, and if a lot of it is transferable? Like, do you have a lot of information yet, or is it kind of still just the early stages of application and all that?
To be fair, I'm a bit of the learning by doing guy, so in the end I'll just see. I don't
Mhm.
want to over in like get too many information before. I just want to be open to learn and just see how it is. I think I can transfer a few things. I've talked to some people. They actually said that yeah, the courses are pretty similar in a way.
Nice.
So even if I can't like actually get it, like take over the courses I've already done, I would still learn a lot about what I'll need in the future. So it's
Yeah, so
good
at
either
least
way.
nice. Yeah, you have that kind of base knowledge there that will help
Yes.
you. Nice. That's awesome, man. And you said you're in East Germany. Whereabouts are you? I guess just even if it's a small city, maybe not the like kind of
Um,
the region or something.
yeah, I think the biggest city that's an hour away is Dresden. Yeah, it's like 2.5 hours to Berlin, south of Berlin, kind of.
Okay.
It's in the middle of nowhere, really. We're really close to the Czech and Polish border. Like I
Okay.
can
Nice.
be in Czech or Poland within 15 minutes.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Something I find cool about Germany and sim racing is it seems like it really has its own like super large and really involved community. Like you look at German sim racing and everybody that's there, even during broadcasts of different things, like they'll broadcast it on their own, and it seems like a lot of people in Germany show up and are really interested. Are you part of that, or like do you take part in it at all?
I'm definitely active in the German sim racing community. I love their streams as well. They're very funny. Sergio's like a top lad. It's so funny to listen to him, especially when you understand him. Um, but even some of our non-Germans sometimes watch their stream. Obviously, Racebot is also like top-notch, super exclusive streams. But the Sergio sometimes adds a little bit of humor, so that's also quite nice
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, No, I think I participate there. We also they host some leagues themselves, German Sim Racing. We're also part of that, and always enjoying their company. Or like I think we are relatively close connected with them, so it's always nice to do stuff in their community.
Nice.
Generally, yeah, Germany is just a huge country, and I think mainly from history, not so much nowadays maybe, but it's a huge was it kind of still is a huge motorsport nation. So there's obviously a lot of enthusiasm for motorsport,
Mm.
and yeah, that just brings in a lot of sim racers, I guess, into the game. And then as well, sim racing is quite expensive. So Germany is a country where there's I think, a very wealthy country across its population. So a lot of people can afford to do sim racing as well.
Nice. That's cool, man. And so you, as team manager of Maniti, you guys are fairly active in your own right in a lot of different places. And how did Maniti come together as a team? Like, how did you, I guess, was it you that started it all up? And if so, kind of how did that start? And where did Maniti come from?
That's pretty funny actually, because I was doing some. I did most of the racing games on PlayStation before I joined iRacing, and at some point, I mean, I always had an eye on iRacing, and I knew I was going to end up here, but I just wasn't into PCs, and I couldn't really afford a PC before I was 17.
Mm.
So once I got a PC set up and started with iRacing, I did like we were trying to do like the first race. It was Bathurst 2018, the 12-hour race
Mm.
with two mates that I knew from PlayStation, and it was Marcus, Niels, and me. So Marcus the MA, Niels NI, and Tim T. So Maniti, and it was never really meant to go on from there. Like we just wanted to do that race together, and yeah, it was the easiest way to pick a name, just to use the first two letters of each of us.
That's awesome.
Um, and we were like, it was for me. I had iRacing. I had iRacing like I played a bit with a controller on like my laptop with 30 FPS 2 months before, but I kind of stopped until I properly had a PC. And
Mm.
I got the PC a week before the race, and obviously we had a lot of sim racing experience before, but not a high I rating, so we got into quite a low split, and had a great race. We actually won that one. It's still to this day the only special event I ever won.
Nice. That's
so
awesome.
um, and because it went well, and I was in 11th grade, so I had some time. I still played football at the time, but I had some time. I thought like, this went rather well. I like to manage and bring new ideas, so why not just keep going? And quite quickly, within a month, we got like 10 more people in, and then for Sebring, a month later, we had 4 cars up and running, and ever since then, um, yeah, I always tried to drive the team forward, and it wasn't meant to be what it is now. It fills me with pride to see where we are now. When I think about how we started, just normal guys doing a race together, not even trying to
Mm.
pursue the idea of going on with it. Yeah, I guess I just enjoyed. It was mainly me managing the team after that race. I just enjoyed to make or give people the possibility to like do sim racing or like experience motorsport in an affordable way. Because on
Mm.
PlayStation, I actually managed a league or tried to manage a league, and I was happy when we got like 12 people for a race,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even multi-class, so like super tiny classes, and we had fun. We tried to simulate racing. It wasn't competitive or anything. It was just fun to see 12 people turn up for a race I planned,
Yeah.
and then obviously transferring to iRacing, you didn't really have to care about that anymore, because there's like all of a sudden there's 50 people in every split. It's crazy, and well, I guess I just wanted to give people the chance to not have to do too much while driving in a team.
Mm.
So took a lot of tasks and just enjoyed it. And ever since then, main goal was to have fun, to get along nicely, share thoughts from real life or sim racing as well with other people, and enjoy our time, I guess.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing,
at
man.
some point we obviously tried to go a bit more pro, and it worked. That was start of 2020. Ruben and I just said, yeah, come on, we improve as drivers, which I never really had any expectations coming to iRacing.
Mm,
When I first started, every driver above 4K iRating was a god for me. Like, was unreachable, unachievable for me, I thought. And so it's quite funny to see where I've come and where the team has come.
that's
No, but
amazing, man. And it's like you said, just it's good that the fun aspect has stuck around. Just you mentioning kind of in the PlayStation days, like
yeah,
being stoked about having 12 people on there. Uh, that's what it's all about. Like just
yeah.
it's a bunch of people like getting together for the like something they all enjoy to do, and having a fun time. And so as you've come in and kind of built the team and uh, you know kept improving yourself, how have you seen the rest of the community build? Like, you mentioned that it used to be that you were looking at 4K guys as kind of like, they were gods of iRacing. They were just this like unattainable, like, mountain peak to get to. But now and more, especially since the pandemic started, uh, it's not like completely unusual to see, I guess, more people getting to that point. Um, at least kind of that's my perception. How have you found it, and how have you found, I guess, the competitiveness or the fun of trying to stay kind of in that realm, in that threshold of like the upper I rating class, whether it's an official or once you get over to series like IVRA.
Yeah, obviously competition has increased just because the number of people has increased. It's just a natural transition, I guess. Um, yeah, I have to say that sometimes I'm a bit sad. It got a bit more competitive because there seems to be a lot of toxicity around. But after all, it's just a normal, yeah, uh, transition. There's more people coming in, the SOFs get higher, more people with high I rating, so more people gain I rating as well. To be fair though, I don't think it has changed the competition that much. I still get a lot of respect from people I'm racing, and I respect them a lot. And we can still have a lot of fun, no matter if we are racing while we are having 6K I rating or 8K I rating.
Mhm.
And also in leagues, I love leagues because the I rating aspect doesn't matter at all. Everyone is just trying to yeah, get the best race in for themselves. And obviously, team races are what makes iRacing special for me.
Mm.
That's why I joined iRacing ultimately, because I wanted to share a car with someone I like and have fun together, practice together. Um, yeah, after all, what's I have to say that obviously since the pandemic changed, I think we have started to compete in more competitive leagues. So it's
Mm.
maybe not fair to say it got more toxic. I think the toxicity is maybe the wrong word, but the more competitive you get, there's also more negative feedback, I guess. It's just
Mm.
if you play soccer in a small club, everyone is enjoying themselves. Obviously, you have a foul here in the game and there, but after the game, everyone drinks a beer together. So it's just everyone's playing for fun. But if you look in
Mm.
the high leagues, obviously there's clubs hating each other and the fans going at each other. It's normal. And same with sim racing. We've started to compete in higher leagues, so obviously some rivalries form in a way. I
Mm.
think we don't really have big rivals as such because we try to respect everyone. But after all, of course, the how you get along with some people sometimes changes a bit if you get more competitive. But after all, I have to be happy with where we are and how much respect we get from everyone. So I
Yeah,
think yeah, it hasn't affected us too much. I think, and
that's
me.
good, and that's fair. I mean, it's absolutely true. Like, uh, as you kind of like start to move up in the ranks of competitiveness in probably any sport, there like the margin for caring about little mistakes and the way things play out changes a lot. So totally fair. Um, you guys this year are in a couple of our series again. What Do you have one that you're looking most forward to? Like whether that's like on a per season basis, or is there anything new that you're doing this year?
Um, I'm I would like to do more IVRA races than last season this year. I think I'm looking forward to both the club sport and the endurance season the most. That's also the two leagues I'm most involved with.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, the new Cup car I think brings a little bit of a hype for that. I think it feels nice, it drives nice, it looks nice. Um, Obviously, though, a lot of new GT3 cars as well, that we have to get into. So
Hmm.
we have Porsche. I'm on the Porsche GT3 and the Porsche Cup car. So yeah, stick with Zuffenhausen there, I guess. Um, no, but I I'm very much looking forward to. We My aim is definitely to win the club sport and the endurance championship this season. Depends obviously a bit on how much time you'll have for practice, but after all,
Yeah.
we have a big team and a lot of competitive drivers. So even if I can't drive, then I'm confident we have good chances. We started off the season relatively well, not with a win, but very solid results for all cars. So
Hmm.
very much looking forward to the next rounds.
Nice. And I guess especially after last season, it really came down to the wire for you guys
Yeah,
in endurance, which was tough. And
yeah, it was pretty bad.
and so just that again, that's competition sometimes, right? Like
Yeah, of
it's
course.
one of
You
those
win some,
things.
you
Just
lose
shit
some.
happens, right? Like, um, do you guys feel that like you want to prove yourselves to a certain degree after that? Or is it kind of like coming in like blank slate and you're not thinking about it much?
Now, of course, you want to come back after that. I mean, we were leading the championship, I think, by the midway point. I might have been leading, or we definitely were up there, won some races in the first half. And then I guess it kind of came down to Matzke and me making some mistakes. I crashed at Virginia, which I was really sad about, let the team down. And then Matze obviously had the tough task at Motegi to like do the restart after like a 25-minute safety car period where the
Mm.
tires are like super cold and have no pressure at all. And like I think two-thirds of the field spun in turn four,
It was
including Matze.
crazy.
And then we got hit. Then he got hit by someone in the gravel, which was extremely unlucky, and that obviously ended our championship hopes. Of course, you want to bounce back after that. I think
Hmm.
performance-wise, we any of like Hoisingfeld, Team 11, or us could have all won the championship.
Yeah.
The thing with IVRA is it was three different cars. First of all, that shows though that it's not about raw pace. You've got a lot of strategy aspect, a lot of making the least mistakes, and you can afford to do some mistakes in early phases of the race, but it really comes down to the last restart and then the shoot to the line, I guess. But you obviously have to put your car into a good position. So there's a lot of variety. What you'll see in terms of strategies over the season, so many different races, so many different scenarios, and we haven't even got rain yet. So with rain, it's going to be even
Oh,
more crazy. I'm so
yeah,
looking
man.
forward to that. For me, rain will make iRacing twice as good as it is, and I already
Yeah,
love iRacing.
yeah.
So no, we want to bounce back to answer your question. Definitely, it is still in the heads, and we want to win this year.
Nice. That's great, man. And so the first one at Nürburgring, you guys said you finished well. How did you find it generally? There's a lot of new teams on the grid. It's the split's bigger now that we have the GT3s, and there's a lot of them compared to the GTEs and the LMP2s. So naturally, like the traffic's going to be much different, and depending on what kind of car you're in, managing the traffic along with that's going to be a bit different, right?
Yeah, surely. I didn't drive either of the two first rounds because in both occasions I was actually at the Nürburgring in real life.
Nice.
But obviously, I was following it on stream, and especially in the endurance league, I think the club sport league is quite similar to last season, except that there's more competition, obviously. But also in the endurance league, there's a lot more good teams coming in, which is nice to see. I think it's a natural progression with how well you guys have done organization-wise. Everyone sees that and is trying to get involved, and that's what happened over the summer, over the pre-qualifying,
Mhm.
and after all, we want competition. It makes the races more enjoyable. No one wants to win a race where you didn't really have to work for. So obviously really looking forward to seeing where we stand on like a long run. Obviously, it's very difficult with the you've split the season into two halves with like three races each, where
Mm,
it's going to be you kind of can't really afford to miss or like make a big mistake in one of the races because then you're kind of out of the championship.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just got to be up there all the time and produce good results
Yeah,
with the high competition as well. So many good teams coming in. It's just amazing to see.
yeah, it's great. And do you guys have many new drivers on the team this season compared to last season, or is
Um,
it mostly the same crew?
I think there's quite a few new ones. Yeah, yeah. I think at least half of the ones that we've signed up now are new.
Oh, nice.
At least new in IVRA. They might have been with us last year, but they weren't involved with IVRA yet. Uh, I think there's a lot of new. Like I'd reckon about half. Like Thijs is new. Bas is first time in IVRA. I think. Rudi, Valdi. I could name a few more. Sorry if I missed you guys. No, there's a lot of new, but it's also because everyone in the team saw how much we enjoyed doing Ivra last season, and they obviously wanted to get involved with it as well.
Nice. That's great, man. Um, on your side, some of the other people, the three people that we've had on so far, especially Manuel and Ollie, spoke about just the challenge of safety cars and how strategy is so much different
Yeah,
within the endurance series or club sport in IVRA. How do you guys approach that? Like, do you guys have kind of like a dedicated person or crew like the Fiercely Forward has with Andrew, or is it more, you guys kind of are very flexible and you approach the races with, each team and pairing of drivers or triple or whatever it is as kind of like their own little box that they're strategizing on their own and you kind of work through it as you go.
yeah, it's rather the latter. We do talk about it before each race with all the teams together, but in the end, usually you run different strategies with the different entries depending on like which driver speed is going to start the race, and then yeah, you just want to see the tires, obviously in different classes. The tire wear is different. You always end up on different scenarios for each class and car.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our decisions are intuition based. I'd say. Obviously, we have like a rough plan before the race. I remember last year at Barber where I drove with Bartjan, we really looked into any scenario before the race. We were like, okay, what happens if the safety car comes out in this lap and this lap and this lap? Do we box or not? And it was quite nice. We won the race after all, but it was a bit more tricky than it could have been, I guess.
Right.
Um, you never know. You never know until the checkered flag whether you have the right strategy or not. It's so hard. It's so hard to tell. And with like 10, I'd say roughly 10 cars usually that can have a driver on around the same pace for the end of the race. There's obviously the chances that you out of all the 10 cars have the best strategy are very small, are very slim. So
Mm-hmm.
you just gotta. I think we usually go for a bit of a safe approach. That means our strategy is usually going to work okay. So we're not going to come last, but sometimes a team that maybe isn't so much going for the championship, but rather want to like they risk something for to get a one-off result,
Mm-hmm.
they might end up ahead. But if you look at the championship, I think you need to make decisions that rather give you P3 than P1, but with a 50% chance of P10. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
rather take the safe P3 than a slim chance to win the race. Sometimes it depends on the situation, really.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, Super hard to say. It makes it so different, and I think the rain is going to add even more to it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's going to be, I think it'll be interesting, the transition period at first,
Mm,
and especially seeing how it kind of plays out in official races as everybody adapts to it. Um, and yeah, and then as we get to it in IVRA, I mean, who knows right now when that will be and kind of like how soon it'll show up into one
yeah.
of our races from release. It's probably a good idea to let people try it out a bit first in general before it just gets thrown into one of our races. But Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see it this season. At the end of this season,
Yeah,
I think
maybe. Yeah.
that's what I was hearing rumors of.
Mm,
Maybe we'll
yeah.
see, but it'll definitely make its way into some of our races. What was your, I guess, most challenging or favorite race of last season? Because there was a lot of tight ones, and there was a lot compared to this season. We have a lot more kind of classic GP tracks, which affords you a little more wiggle room.
Mm,
Maybe not as mentally distressing as something like
yeah.
Mid Ohio was last year. What have you found most challenging so far?
Definitely the most enjoyable and probably also most challenging race for me in IVRA was last year at Barber, in the Endurance League. Drove with Partian. That was also the race I was talking of, the strategy.
Mm,
And I did start the race from pole and got a good start. And then there was a kind of early safety car. I think roughly half an hour into the race. I think it was a 2.75 hour race. It was not a very long race.
yeah, it was a short one. Yeah.
Um, and we did pit, which put us behind everyone, um, kind of off sequence to everyone else. But we were sure our strategy was going to be okay. And yeah, we ended up behind everyone. We took tires, I think. Can't recall it 100%. And somehow the last safety car, I think, was roughly 45 to 50 minutes to the end. Um, I was in the car and we were like P17, but we had fresh tires, full fuel. So it was just a shootout to the finish and see how far up we can get from P15. And
Nice.
we had a mega pace on that day. The setup was great, the car was great, everything was nice. I felt
Hmm.
very comfortable with the track as well. Obviously, Barber is not a track where you can pass very easily, so
Mm.
there were some tight situations in there. There was a great battle with Heusingfeld, very tough, kind of was some rubbing, I think, but it was okay. It's what you want to see sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and I got spun on the way through the field once, so I had to pass a few again. Um, in the end, we just finished on P2, just short of P1, because we got held up by LMP2s with damage at the end in the last 3 laps. I
Ah.
was very angry at the time, but P1 got disqualified after all. So we got P1 gifted. Even if we had finished P2, it's still a great memory. It was a lot of fun to charge through the field there. Um, we could have won on track. I would have absolutely loved it. I was very angry that we didn't because, as I said, I think I would have caught P1 easily within the time
Mhm.
if the LMP2s hadn't interfered with my way, I guess. But it's multi-class. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're on the lucky end, sometimes not. At this time, we were definitely not having the best of luck there towards the end of the race. I think, especially Bartjan can confirm that I might have been shouting a bit every now and then. Um, yeah, it just shows there's a lot of passion, though. I think it's okay. Sometimes you have to unleash your emotions with like just shouting rather than doing something stupid on track. Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's true though. Sometimes, those races that, you face some pretty big challenges, but have to overcome a lot. Later on you look back and they're the ones that you remember the best because you've had to overcome and fight through so many things to get to where you are
yeah,
and what you've achieved, right? So that's always great and something that I think, a lot of teams would probably agree with, and newer teams is something important to remember as they kind of like keep progressing through their team's history from a new team into getting up to perhaps where you guys are one day. Um, with the season this year, and just mentioning those more kind of GP style tracks, are there any that you're looking forward to most, or that other guys on the team are looking forward to, or you think that you'll perform best at?
Um, let me pick up the calendar real soon. So many races, I don't know it out of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a big fan of the track selection you usually have or had. You still have for like club sport with tracks you don't usually see that often in many leagues. I think I love these tracks: Barber, Mid Ohio, Virginia, all that sort of tracks.
Mm.
Um, but obviously, in the end, for me, I if someone asks me what's my favorite track, I would probably tell them the track I'm most competitive at. Um, but it's not mainly the track that I enjoy driving the most. Same with car, really. After
Mm.
all, I think what makes a race special is the competition and the unique scenario you have in any race can make any track super interesting to race at.
Yeah.
So I look at every race the same way. I just hope for a great battle, great challenges that we have to overcome, but we also overcome them. I hope.
Hmm.
Um, so schedule. There we go. Um, I'd say out of this, probably Watkins Glen actually in the endurance series in the second half, because Watkins Glen is actually a track not used very often in endurance leagues for some
Mm.
reason. I don't know why. It's a great track. Have great memories there. Also some bad memories, but um, I think it's going to be very interesting. A good track to race at. I think it's great for multi-class. It allows great racing.
Hmm.
Um, but generally, yeah, as I said, in the end, every race has its unique scenario, which can make it equally good, no matter what track it is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair. Totally fair. And what do you think of because we changed up the format this year, so it's, instead of kind of differing lengths like we had last year, it's just set distances. Which do you prefer? I guess we don't have that many yet to kind of go by, but
yeah,
we've got one that was the Nürburgring and Club Sport too, if you're in that. So
yeah. I mean, you've changed the distance now, which makes the strategy part different, especially for the top class. Because you can kind of know how many laps each driver has to do to fulfill the minimum driving requirement. So you can plan a bit better with strategy, but always with safety cars in the end. Can't be
mm,
too safe on it. I don't mind personally. I always liked to have very different and odd race lengths in a way, because yeah, it gives you a unique challenge every time you come to the track. If you
mm,
have similar race lengths every race, you usually have a similar strategy, but that also allows for every team to learn a bit better, and so the races might get a bit more competitive towards the end. So um, each has great potential to produce enormous fun, I'd say.
yeah,
I don't really mind. As I said, I think it's the race itself making it interesting and not the conditions like track, car, race lengths, whatever. It's the race itself, the competition, every driver making it special. Every race is different.
hmm,
Um, it's also a reason I can't really race against AI anymore. It's so boring because usually the same stuff happens.
yeah,
Ever since I transferred to iRacing, I would like to start like F1 careers because I'm a big F1 fan, but
hmm,
yeah, I just don't don't enjoy racing with the AI. It's not necessarily because they can't make moves, but it's so expectable sometimes what they're gonna do,
yeah,
and it's just such a different thing. I love to race against a different person. So much more fun.
yeah. I agree with that. Um, that being said, have you tried the AI in iRacing? Maybe just as like a testing method or something like that.
Yeah, I have. It was mainly for testing like or practicing standing starts in the Porsche Cup
Mm.
for a league. Yeah, I only tested it for Porsche Cup. It's not very usable for a race, in my opinion. Maybe
Yeah.
you can do something funny now that you can involve it into hosted races. Like you can add some AI. But after all, with iRacing, we have the great chance to race again, like fill a field with actual
Yeah.
persons. So I don't really see the need for it. I kind of get why they got them in the first place. Maybe they wanted to spread out a bit more and make iRacing more accessible for people who maybe can't race at the times where official races start, or just want to do their own thing and practice a bit with AI. But
Mm.
after all, for me, it's not a big topic. No.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Is there anything else on the service that you'd like to see in the future aside from
Um.
rain?
Yeah. Never really given that a thought. Obviously, rain is going to be amazing. Different tire compounds maybe for dry races, like just not many GT races have that many different tire compounds, but
Hmm.
at Le Mans, like the GTEs usually in the night they just run soft tires for 4 stints, and then in the day they swap to harder tires because the temperatures change. So
Right.
the way the temperature system in iRacing works, I think, would enable you to use tire compounds properly, because in the hot you have higher tire wear than in the cold, so you could like level that out with different tire compounds. I think
Mm.
I do think that is coming anyway, though, because they added it for the Formula One car. I think I heard that with the Formula One car, them adding different tire compounds was mainly to test the interface for when rain comes, how you can select different tire, like dry tire, wet tires. They just, I've heard that it might have been a very early test for that. Either way, I do think it's coming on the long term, different tire compounds, because you can
Yeah.
also, that will enable you different strategies again, different driving styles. Me personally, I think I'm very good at conserving the front tires. I do use the rear tires quite a bit, but front tires for me usually have very good wear. So
Mm.
I think with softer tire compounds, I might last the same distance as someone else with harder tire compounds. I think it would just enable you to different strategies again.
Yeah.
That's
And
something.
differentiating the competition a little bit too, if you can kind of do that. Is
Yeah.
that, do you find that that's specific to certain types of cars, or just generally in terms of your wear?
Um, yeah. You mean my tire wear, or
Yeah, like for the cup, for example, like that can be very different than GT3 cars or something like
yeah?
that.
No, it's quite my wear is quite similar on all cars. Usually I
Mm.
have better front tire wear than most and similar rear tire wear than most quick drivers. Um, I think the tire compounds would make most sense on GTE and GT3 maybe. Even though
Mm.
I think for most endurance GT3 races in real life they have only one compound to choose. Sometimes they have like different manufacturers, even like at the Nürburgring. Some people
Right.
drive with Falcon tires, Dunlop, Hankook, Michelin, whatever. There's so many different. Obviously, that wouldn't make much sense on iRacing to have different manufacturers. I think
Yeah,
um, they should bring it for the races where it's selectable in real life. I think, but like in
it could be cool.
WEC, yeah, in WEC, they have different compounds for GTEs. As far as I'm aware, I haven't really been following that league that much lately, but they used to have it at Le Mans anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, even if you could, even if like you had, say, like we had something like you've got to run like at least two separate compounds throughout the race. Like
yeah,
run as many softs as you want, but you have to run medium or hard at least once.
yeah,
It adds that like little bit of an extra element. But I mean, you're gonna have that if rain comes in anyways. So
yeah,
we'll kind of see what happens once we get to that point and whenever that comes around. Um, Going back to Maniti instead of kind of just regular sim stuff,
yeah,
you guys brought on iLiveries and kind of did like a completely new look.
yeah,
I guess that was the end of last season, maybe
yeah. Correctly. End of
maybe
last year,
this season. Yeah, and you used to
or
have a
like
little, it looked like a some type of ray on the side of it.
yeah, Stingray. It was.
Stingray, yeah.
Most
You
people
ever
said it was a manta because manatee. It was actually a stingray. Yeah.
Where did that come from? And then what? And then how did you guys get about going into the new livery? Like they were both nice, and the new one's great. Just what's
Yeah.
the kind of adventure behind that to getting here?
Um, we didn't have the manta or like the stingray. Sorry, I say manta myself. We didn't have the stingray at first. We didn't have any sort of animal or something. At some point though, that was early 2019. Like we existed for around a year. Um, I was like, the logo we have currently is a bit boring. You can't really refer to anything, and it's not. You're not going to notice it very much. So why not just, I don't know, a lot of teams, organizations, whatever have an animal. Why not just choose one? And I don't know, someone, it was Nathan back in the day. He knew a designer, and I don't know if Nathan picked the stingray. I guess it's just it's an animal that floats through water elegantly, kind of at some speed. Has like a with wings and stuff. So I
Mm.
guess that was the reasoning behind it. And then had someone who designed the logo for us, and then the Stingray was born,
Cool.
and we got our first batch of proper liveries. I'd say that all looked the same on every car.
Mhm.
from Coda Factory back in the day, and I guess that was the livery we did our breakthrough with. Like we got into the high leagues and everyone started noticing us. Um, so there's obviously a lot of positive memories back to these days.
Mhm.
However, I think the step to iLiveries was another step up the ladder, obviously in terms of professionalism. The
Mhm.
livery before looked very nice. I just think, yeah, the new livery we have right now is more equal on every car, like more
Mhm.
consistent first of all, so more recognizable, I guess, and definitely a step up in terms of professionalism. I think it was the right time as well because we as a team had progressed to be known as one of the teams that is going to be um, quite often into the highest in the highest races, highest leagues,
Mhm.
and therefore we also kind of wanted a fresher new look. The Stingray, we decided to give up on it because maybe it's hard to put on a car sometimes, we noticed, first of all, and secondly it just always gives you some boundaries in terms of design. It might not be super professional. When we got the Stingray in the first place, we weren't really known very much. Maybe in the German community a little bit, but not internationally. So
Right.
it was just some like a focused fun team. Now we're still that, but we're definitely more competitive than at the time. So
So
we
try to create
felt,
that professional side with like
yeah,
the.
I think, yeah, exactly. Like the outlook got more, like got closer to the competition that we were competing at. I think
Mm.
it's working nicely though. The new logo is more elegant and slick. Yeah, just a bit more understatement there, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the liveries are definitely noticeable on their own and
Yeah.
easily, like you said, across all different cars, like it's a Manini car. How'd you guys arrive at the colors? Was that kind of like just favorite colors, or was it the part of the Stingray, or what?
No, the colors actually were there from day one. I can send you a picture later, maybe, of the first ever Maniti livery.
Nice.
Um, it was like a similar story as with the name, really. Like everyone got his fair share in the name, and so everyone got his fair share in the coloring. Everyone just was able to name his favorite color, and I think we had uh, Neil said green, I think. I might have said red, and Marcus probably said white or something at the time, or black or gray, something more neutral. And
Mm.
so the first car we had, I think, might have been white, green, and and black, or white, green, and a little bit of red as an accent.
Mm.
Um, so the
Tough colors
green,
to
we
put together well.
yeah, that's debatable, really. A lot of people don't like the red with the green. I always kind of enjoyed it. At
Yeah.
some point, when we had the first proper liveries then in 2019, some people came to me and asked me, why do we have like an Italian flag livery? And I was like,
Nice.
what are you talking about? I never actually even, never ever saw it as an Italian flag.
Yeah.
I can send you a picture of that later as well.
Sure.
But once someone pointed it out to me, I kind of saw what he meant. But I still liked it. I saw the connection to Italy, which we don't have, but on the livery. Yeah, I think it's all taste in the end. Also, we kind of gave up on the red as a main color. We have it as an accent color, just like many other colors, but it's not
Mm.
very pronounced. So it's really green as a main color now, which I'm proud about. I like green. I don't know, kind of stands for progress in terms of climate and
Yeah,
nature.
yeah.
I don't know. It sticks out. It sticks out a lot. Not that many people used to like it on cars, but I think a lot of, especially our drivers, have grown to it and like it. It sticks out very well. Um, if you have like an aerial shot of a grid, you can always point out the Maniti cars. So
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome.
that the green has been there from day one.
Nice. That's great. How uh, how are you guys looking forward to the future for growth? Do you think kind of like you've settled into a rhythm now, and like you have certain series that you'll kind of like always rely on and show up to? Do you see kind of like any other ways that you'll start to get into new series, maybe new cars or anything like that, or are you guys kind of just like I said, hitting your rhythm and comfortable with where you are right now?
As you said, we kind of settled in terms of many things, really. What car classes we drive, it's mainly the GT cars. We used to have LMP1 squad. I used to drive a lot of LMP1 in the day, but
Mm.
LMP1 obviously is not competitive in iRacing anymore. Like, not many good people still do it. So
Mm.
we kind of gave up on that. And ever since then, it's been GTE, GT3, and nowadays also Porsche Cup, or since a year roundabout. So the GTE obviously is getting less and less competitive on iRacing,
Mm.
sadly in a way, but it also might focus more on the GT3s, which is good for competition and development with iRacing, and also league wise. I mean, you've got IVRA, STO, and Neo or like Creventic 24-hour series realistically as the top three hosted leagues on iRacing for me, from my perspective, and we are competing in all of them. And
Nice.
then obviously some shorter leagues that are also like GSR Masters, for example, that we're starting up on Thursday, season 4 now. Um, we obviously don't organize that. We're just as a competitor. But
Yeah.
as long as there's not many other leagues coming up, I don't see a reason why we would change what we drive. As I said before, it's even though we've been in that league, every race and every season will be unique. It's different competitors, different rules, different tracks, different. You change, you can evolve and
Mm.
develop. Obviously, if you look at pro sports club, they go into the same leagues every year and still a different, new, unique challenge. So
Mm.
in a way, I really like that we've got settled in series with iRacing and that there's not too many of them. Three is already quite a lot. Obviously, you have different series within yourself,
Mm.
um, but it's three organizations mainly, and it's nice that they are known for being like the best out there, and it's good that the big competitors usually find their way into them. So the competition is close. The quality of organization is good, and yeah, it's I think we've settled in and are going to stick to it as long as many things will change with iRacing. But car class wise, I mean, it will be interesting to see what like iRacing is bringing actual F1 cars kind of up to date
Yeah.
now soon. I don't really know when to expect the W12. Maybe for season one, like in December. Maybe next year.
Mm.
But it's not a car where you do team races with in real life, so I don't see how we would really get into that. Obviously, you can race as a pair of drivers with two cars in a league,
Yeah.
but I think the main focus is going to stay on GT3, GTE, Porsche Cup, maybe GT4 at some point.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think we've settled in with that, and we're happy with it. It's the competition changes, the tracks change, everything changes all the time. So
Nice.
even though we might have had the race with the conditions before, the it's unique every time.
Yeah. And I guess in that, with that in mind, unique every time, but who's there kind of changes and the conditions change. Are there any teams that you've kind of noticed that are new or new to you at least that you're competing against this season, that you weren't in previous seasons, that have kind of caught you off guard, like kind of shown up and are competitive in a way that you didn't think, like here's another team now that we have to kind of have on our radar as we get into races.
Mm, obviously, there's a few new teams that have shown up for race one in both the Cup and um, the Endurance League, or like the club sport and the Endurance League. But after all, in the end, we're kind of looking at ourselves, I have to say.
Mhm.
So while you might be a bit surprised by how well some of the teams have done, in the end, firstly you have to expect everyone to be good. They wouldn't be in the league if they didn't deserve to be here. So especially with the safety car form, it's everyone is a fair competitor, and
Mhm.
you got to pay attention to everyone. And I think most of the teams that are in the league are fairly known though. Like, I'm just scrolling through the list here, and there's not many teams I haven't seen in another league, in a special event or in IVRA before. So there's some new teams that sometimes surprise you, but after all, you have to look at yourself. We don't really look at the competition preparing for a race. We try to get the best out of ourselves and improve every time. So
Mhm.
there's not too much focus on that. No, but looking at the list, I've got the Endurance League here. They are all established teams. I think you wouldn't be here if you weren't. Obviously, Fiercely Forward, for example, you already talked to Ollie. They've popped onto the scene very quickly and established to be one of the best teams within IVRA within a year.
Mhm.
I think relatively similar to us. We just have been around a bit longer, but um, they that shows that you have to reckon with everyone, like that you have to expect everyone to beat you in a way. They've shown up and were instantly competitive. And
Mhm.
when they can do it, I'm sure they're doing a great job. Deserve to be where they are, um, as well as we do. But that shows that if someone else comes in and is committed to the job, committed to the task, can do it as well.
Mhm.
Um, you have to expect everyone to be good and
Definitely.
not forget anyone.
So if there's any kind of younger teams out there that are listening or kind of watching, the series progress, what kind of tips from a seasoned vet would you give them?
Um, I think after all, you have to find a philosophy how to run the team. For me, I played football for 11 years in the club. Before that, handball. So I was always a sports guy, into club sports, team sport. For me, what sometimes took away the fun when doing that was that off the pitch, the talking and the expectations, the pressure was way too high for what level we actually played on. And after all, I always felt like I want to be that puts the pressure on myself when I want to, and I'm super competitive usually in what I do, so I always put the biggest pressure on myself. And I don't really need anyone from the outside pressurizing me too much. So when I started the sim racing team, for me it was always important to let people do what they want to do, to have them practice as much as they want to do, and not say, hey, driver A, you have still 7 hours of practice to do this week.
Mm.
They it has to be it has to come from them. Obviously, within the 3.5 years that we have existed, or a little bit more, there have been situations where I told someone you should rather get the practice on now, otherwise you won't be very competitive. But
Yeah.
I've tried to keep it in a way that I make sure they felt valued first of all, but they felt happy to do the practice.
Mm.
I think, especially most teams that pop onto the scene, they should worry about having fun in the first place. Because if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to be good at it, and you're going to do it a lot, which in the end is going to lead to the fact that you're going to be better, which you're going to enjoy. So you're going to do a lot more, and then it's just a positive circle, I guess.
Hmm.
So make sure that every driver feels respected within the team you have, that you enjoy what you do. Don't do too many things you don't want to do. Obviously, there have to be compromises. You sometimes have to do a race you don't want to do. You have to help someone out when you don't really want to, or can't, time wise, but try to make sure you do everything that's possible for everyone to have fun, even though sometimes you have to step back a little bit yourself. Enjoy what you're doing. That was always my main premise when I founded the team. Don't put too much pressure on the people. Um, we don't we like with football in real life. Obviously, you have to have like practice times. I don't know, Thursday 19 o'clock in the evening, one and
Yeah.
a half hour practice, because football you have to get together. You need a date, otherwise it won't work. You can't practice together. But with sim racing, I mean, most people have their rig at home, so you can kind of drive whenever you're home. And I don't like the concept. Some teams might have it. It might work for some. Obviously, every team has its own philosophies.
Hmm.
Um, to say, hey guys, Monday evening, 6 o'clock is our strict practice time, 2 hours, always team practice. That could, it might work. The point, like, I think I've always looked at it. if someone doesn't feel like practicing at 6, he's not going to be very productive in practice.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to enjoy it. He's not going to care about getting the best out of himself, the best lap times, helping someone else. He's just going to drag down the whole atmosphere maybe if he doesn't feel like it. So let him practice when he wants. Obviously, usually people within our team are motivated to improve, to beat the previous results they had. And most team leagues you practice together with people you like. So that motivates you in itself or by itself. And people arrange their practice times how they want. But yeah, as I said, try to make everything, try to make it possible for everyone to enjoy what they're doing. They shouldn't feel pressured to do something they don't want to. And then you might be lucky and everything will work out. Sometimes, I mean, in life you just need a little bit of luck and to be at the right time, right spot at the right time, say the right things at the right moment. Um, a lot of details have to come together for it to work out properly. After all, and yeah, have fun on the way though. Have
Yeah.
fun along the way.
It's true, wise words. And I think following that general philosophy in sport in general, or things that you're passionate about getting into, is a good way to go about it. It keeps you interested. If you're forced to do things, usually at some point it becomes a
Yeah,
chore rather than something that you're looking forward to as having fun. So definitely, I would reflect and say the same things for anybody else that's interested for sure. Um, any other? I think we're kind of reaching the end here, maybe, but any other wise words for us, or anything else that you're looking forward to in this upcoming season, or just with the team in general?
oh, that's a difficult one. I'm not sure if I'm the right guy for wise words. Sometimes I might be, but not on the spot. I think. Yeah, not really. To be fair,
Yeah, that's
I'm
all
looking
right.
forward
Mostly,
to, like, as a team. A lot of us are looking forward to the upcoming races in any
Mhm.
league we're running. We have a packed schedule coming up in uh, November and October as well. I think we have like around 27 team races in 2 months. So
Oh,
it's a
I
huge.
guess yeah, because you have SEO and 24 hours too, right? You
Yeah,
said
we've
you're in
got,
both of
yes,
those as well.
exactly.
Right.
IVRA, 4 races, I think, in the 2 months. Then SEO, Neo, GSR, which is weekly, DGTM, which is every other week. So there's a lot of racing coming together.
Nice.
Um, so, but usually it's the boom time of sim racing. I think the fall and the winter time. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
everyone's kind of getting hyped after the summer break, and we have to pull through 2 months, and I hope it's going to be worth it. After all, you never know what you will end up with position wise. That's sport. I mean, if you knew, I think I think Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, like Audi sports manager from the past, he used to say, if you knew who's going to win, we don't even need to race in the first place. Something like that.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, that's wise words, I think, from him. So don't
Yeah.
be too upset if you don't get what you want. Sometimes you just it's not possible. You win some, you lose some. Can't win them all. So I think you can only enjoy the heights if you have some lows as well.
Mhm.
I had a bad race today, and after all, it's only going to make the good races feel even sweeter, I think.
Yep, definitely. Well, hopefully, more sweet ones than sour ones this
Yeah,
this coming year for you guys at Maniti. It's always fun to see you guys back on the grid. Always competitive at the front. So hopefully everybody out there that's watching will keep an eye out. If they are new, have a look for Maniti. And if you're competitors of Maniti, you guys are definitely familiar with them. Um, but we'll probably leave it at that for today, Tim. Thanks a lot for coming by.
thanks for having me. Was
Yeah,
was a pleasure.
thanks. And we'll see all of you guys next week for another one.
Yep.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.